Well, hello there, amazing private practice owner. My name is Gerda, and you are listening to the Private Practice Success Podcast. And this is episode number 33. Today, I'm going to talk to you about one of my absolute favorite topics, and that is marketing. I absolutely love doing marketing. You know why? Because when I market, I get to help more people in better and more effective ways. It is why I do what I do. And I'm pretty sure that if you are the owner of a group private practice, you already know how absolutely vital marketing is for the growth and sustainability of your allied health private practice. What we're going to do today is to look at the really important difference between inbound and outbound marketing within your allied health private practice. Did you know that there is a difference between inbound and outbound marketing? Yes, we are going to look at it today, but what we are going to do is look at more than just the difference between the two from a theoretical perspective. Because this is really about understanding how to apply these different types of marketing strategies within your practice so that you can build long-standing relationships, attract new clients, and most importantly, because this is the only way to keep the doors open, create a steady and predictable flow of inquiries so that you can have more clients within your practice diary. Now, whether you're feeling overwhelmed with too many clients already, or maybe you're struggling and are finding yourself in a really quiet period and everything in between, this episode will help you find the right balance in your marketing efforts. So grab a notebook because we're going to deep dive into the strategies and examples that you can implement right away. So let's get started. And we're going to start by asking and answering this really important question. Why does this matter? And this is a question that you should ask about any and all types of business strategies. Because unless you know why it matters, you should not be doing it. Okay? Well, the thing is this. Marketing is the engine that keeps your practice running. Without marketing, you are going to be left relying on hope. Hope that the clients will pick up the phone and call you. Hope that they're going to email you and come through the doors eventually. Hope that referrers will remember you. Hope that your practice will stay afloat during quieter times. But hope is not a marketing strategy. I'm the first to say I'm a really hopeful, optimistic person, but I'm also a realist, and we cannot rely on hope. What's worse is I see so many practice owners falling into what I call the 911 marketing trap. That is reactive, last-minute efforts that only happen when you're in a crisis. That kind of marketing is stressful, it's unsustainable, and ultimately ineffective. So instead, what we want is we need you to focus on proactive, consistent, and intentional marketing. And that is where inbound and outbound marketing comes in. By understanding and implementing both of these types of marketing, not just one or the other, both, you will be able to, 1, build stronger long-term relationships with your referrers and clients. 2, increase your visibility in your community and therefore attract new clients. 3, create a more predictable and sustainable flow of inquiries. Wouldn't that be amazing? And then 4th, reduce the stress and uncertainty that comes as a result of inconsistent marketing. Needless to say, having the right balance between inbound and outbound marketing will solve a lot of frustrations that we as practice owners experience. And I want to share some of those frustrations with you. And I have experienced some of them, and I'm pretty sure you might have experienced some of them as well. Does this sound familiar? Have you ever thought to yourself, I don't have time to market my business because I'm too busy seeing clients and I have to prep. I need to write reports. I need to sit physically in a client session. I just don't have the time. Or maybe you've thought to yourself, well, I have a wait list, so I don't really need to do any marketing right now, right? Because then I'll just get more clients on my wait list and that's stressful. Or maybe you've been thinking, I don't know how to find these new clients or referrers. Or maybe, and this is probably the worst feeling to have, it's like, I feel like I'm doing all of this marketing and nothing is working. I'm putting in all this effort, but I'm not getting the results. Getting inbound and outbound marketing balance right is going to help solve all four of those situations. So by the end of this episode, it is my goal for you to have a clear understanding of how to balance these two approaches and overcome these frustrations once and for all. We're going to start by looking at inbound marketing. Inbound marketing is all about nurturing the relationships you already have. These could be your referrers. You might have heard me talk about practice angels. Those are those very loyal referrers that send you a lot of clients. You also have a lot of loyal clients, past clients potentially. The goal here is to maintain and strengthen those relationships. How? By providing value and, very importantly, staying top of mind. The thing about inbound marketing is this. It is much easier and more cost-effective than outbound marketing. What we are doing here is you are maintaining already established and therefore existing relationships, which is easier to do than creating new ones from scratch. So your practice angels and your current clients are already invested in you, right? They trust you. They know you. You would have heard the term the know, like, and trust factor. You've already given value to them. And therefore, they are more likely to refer other people to you and or to stay connected. So what are some examples then of inbound marketing activities? Let's have a look at referrer relationships. So a lot of us, especially if you've got a psychology private practice like I do, we do a lot of Medicare work. So in my world, at my practice, GPs are one of our biggest referral sources. That being said, we've got a child and lesson arm to the business, so we also have pediatricians that refer to us. You might have other allied health professionals that refer to you. Any type of referrer relationship. So you need to have specific tactics that you're going to employ to keep in touch with them, to stay top of mind, to keep on giving value. So ask yourself, do you have a plan for doing that? Do you know what your practice does to maintain referral relationships? Do you perhaps go back to existing referrers and do hellos with them? So it's not a meet and greet because you're not meeting them for the first time, but it's a catch up with your current referrers already. Do you send out personalized thank you cards to your referrers? Maybe you could host an appreciation event, such as a morning tea or a lunch. Do you provide educational resources for them that they can help to better understand your services so they can better support your mutual clients? What about your current clients? Examples of how you could provide ongoing value to current clients, other than, of course, the actual therapeutic work that you do, is you can create a follow-up system to check in with them after their sessions. So I work with a number of practice owners, and it's standard practice for their clinicians to send a very short report to the parents of kids that they have seen after each session. It could be a simple email asking how you're doing or sharing additional resources. With current clients, it's also really important to continue educating them about your service. For example, do you offer group therapy in addition to one-on-one? Is there any groups coming up? What's the benefit of that? Do you have a way of doing that with your current clients? Do you share value-driven content with them, such as blog posts or videos? I think it's really important to, yes, provide optimal service within sessions, but then clients leave and then they're like on their own. And yes, it's their responsibility to implement their learnings. But if you can support them in another way, shape, or form, wouldn't that be amazing? And then we've got our past clients. Do you actually reach out to past clients with updates about your practice? Do you check in with them and say, hey, it's been 6 months since you've concluded sessions here at the practice, and we just wanted to make sure that everything is going smoothly, and I wanted to remind you that we are here if you need any help and support, and we've also attached this really great article that we think you might find of help. Do you do that? The moral of the story is that you need to have a plan for doing inbound marketing to your referrers, your current clients, and your past clients. Let's now look at outbound marketing. Outbound marketing is focused on reaching new audiences. So this is people who don't yet know about your practice, but could benefit from your services. So this type of marketing is proactive, and it often requires stepping outside of your comfort zone, all right? So why is it important? Because even if you have a waitlist today, there's no guarantee that your current flow of clients will continue. And unfortunately, I've heard way too many stories of people who have rested on their laurels because they've always had a waitlist. And now it no longer exists. You need to remember your referrers, they retire, they move to different roles and different jobs. Clients move away. People's circumstances change. Referral organizations are even going out of business right now. You need to be aware of these things. So outbound marketing, in essence, will ensure that your practice remains visible and continues to grow. Hence, needing that balance between inbound and outbound marketing. So what are some examples of outbound marketing then? First is community outreach. Are you actually partnering with local organizations such as schools, daycare centers, pet cremation services to offer informational sessions or workshops or fulfill any need that they might have? Those are great opportunities to reach more people. Do you actually attend community events to promote your services and connect with potential clients? I will never forget when I started my second group private practice. This was back in 2011. I spent one whole day just driving through the neighborhood because I already knew where the location was, and I was driving through seeing what NGOs were there. What does this NGO do? What gap might they have in their service provision that my practice could fulfill? And it was one of the best things that I could have done, because when we opened the doors, we already had clients booked in. And we opened in September 2011, and I had a baby in March 2011. So it was a hectic time. And I didn't have a lot of time because I had a newborn baby for 6 months leading up to the opening of my second group private practice. But this really helped so much, because in that situation where we were starting a new practice in a new physical location, outbound marketing was extremely important, and I had to do way more of that in that initial period. And then once those referrals and clients came through, then I could start to introduce the inbound marketing. And not only could I had to, because you need to have that balance. So very importantly also, at various stages of your business, you'll need the one more than the other, but you do need to do both. There has to be a balance. Another example of outbound marketing is targeted advertising. So this is the stuff that's going to cost you more money rather than time and energy. For example, running Facebook ads, running Google ads, where you then target specific demographics, such as parents, for example, targeting couples, for example, if you do couples counseling, targeting people in a specific location as well. I will preface this with saying that running Facebook and Google ads, I only encourage doing that when you have a larger practice, because you will need, especially when it comes to Google ads, a significant budget behind it in order for you to get the return on investment that you would want. Quick side note, if you are a group practice owner, please know that it is my mission to help you go from overwhelmed, overworked, and most probably underpaid to fully empowered and financially thriving. Helping you build a practice you can't stop smiling about is more than just a tagline in my world. It is what I do. So if you know that you want more from your business, if you know that you deserve more from your business, then today is the day I invite you to reach out. In the show notes, you will find a link to a super short triage form. Pop in your details. I will personally go through your responses and will get back to you ASAP to let you know how I can help. And if I can't, I'll point you in the right direction. Don't put your dreams on the back burner any longer. The sooner you start, the sooner I can help you get there. Now back to the episode. And then the third type of outbound marketing is called outreach. And this is the icky part that most of us don't like to do. And this is where you send introductory emails or letters to potential referrers. That is where you maybe pop into the new surgery that's opened around the corner and you introduce yourself to the reception and you leave some marketing materials. So this is the stuff where you need to step out of your comfort zone, but it actually feels good to do it. You're going to be so proud of yourself once you've actually done it, and you're going to realize that it's actually not as bad as I thought. And they were actually so lovely, and they were actually so grateful to hear that there's another service provider to support their patients. All right. So those are the 3 examples of outbound marketing. So outbound is all about extending your reach and letting people know that your practice exists. It's your way of saying, we are here and we can help. Now let's have a look at where practice owners typically go wrong when they're doing this inbound and outbound marketing. All right, common mistakes for inbound marketing is you neglect existing relationships. Many practice owners assume that once a referrer or a client is on board, the relationship will sustain itself. But relationships require ongoing effort and communication. We know this in our personal and most of our professional relationships, but we don't often apply it when it comes to referrer relationships and actual clinical clients. I have been known to say, and I'll say it today for you because I think it's important for us to hear this more than once. One of the biggest mistakes practice owners make is loving and then leaving their referrers. They go, they have that initial meet and greet, give them all these documents, nice flyers and stuff, never to be heard of again. That is a common inbound marketing mistake. Number 2 is over-relying on current clients. If your inbound marketing is solely focused on current clients, you risk ignoring other people that also need your help and therefore bringing in new inquiries, but you'll also be ignoring your referrers. And guess what? Next week, there's somebody else doing a meet and greet, and maybe they are not going to love and leave that referral relationship. Maybe they're going to give them ongoing attention, and then they're going to become the preferred provider of the service. And then you're going to sit and go, oh, what's going on? I did it. I went out. I did this meet and greet. This stuff doesn't work. No, it doesn't work because you didn't do it right. The third common mistake with inbound marketing is inconsistent communication. All right. If you do this just once or twice, it's not going to work. You can't only reach out to people when you're in trouble or when you need something. That also doesn't feel good, right? It doesn't feel good to flood your referrers with marketing because all of a sudden the diary's empty. It's like, oh, okay, so now you need something from me. Now you're communicating with me. No, you want to be consistent. Let's look at 3 of the most common mistakes with outbound marketing. Number 1, targeting too broadly. Okay, when you are trying to market to everyone, it dilutes your message. So you have to go, who am I going to target? What niches am I going to focus on? And then make sure that all of that aligns with the services that you provide. Second common mistake with outbound marketing is lack of follow-up. Where you send out an email, where you make a connection, and then nothing. So outbound marketing is going to require multiple touch points before it leads to results. So you have to be consistent because guess what? This is you building trust and you need to do that. And that takes time. Yes, you might be an amazing person, amazing clinician. You've got great intentions, but a lot of people out there have been burned, have sent referrals or have seen helping professionals and didn't have a good experience. And we need to show that we can be trusted. So you need to take your time. But this also means that we need to be consistent because the fastest way to break trust is to be inconsistent. Sit with that for a second. The fastest way to break trust is inconsistency because consistency is certainty and that leads to trust. The third common mistake is when we avoid the hard conversations. So some practice owners avoid outbound marketing because it feels uncomfortable or salesy. It's like, what am I going to say at the GP meet and greet? But remember, this is not about selling. This is about telling people how you can help people that need your services. I don't know who came up with this line, but I've heard it quite a number of times now over the years. It goes something like replace nervous with service. So if you feel nervous about going out and talking to and meeting new potential referrers to your practice, remind yourself and then replace nervous with service. You are there in service to this person and the people they will send to you. Oh my goodness, this just made me remember the time in my business where I would attend the primary healthcare network religiously. So this was, I'm talking like years ago, right? 2011, 12, those years, because this was after I opened my second location, which back then in 2011 was in the suburb of Kapalaba in Brisbane. And I started to attend the monthly GP dinners that was held by the primary healthcare network. So back then they were called something different. I can't even remember now what it was called. These days it's called the primary healthcare network. And back in those days, I think it was the last Thursday of the month, they would have a dinner event. And primary healthcare networks, their job is to look after general practitioners. And I just once went and I RSVP'd. It didn't say allied health professionals welcome, but I just RSVP'd. And they accepted my RSVP and I went, cool bananas. I attended those dinners for at least 12 months straight. And it was so interesting, the stuff that I saw there and that I learned there. For example, I would see other allied health professionals also come to the dinners. So I obviously weren't the only one that cottoned on with these things, but they would come and we would have these banquet tables and I would basically arrive or go sit in a table and that's where I would stay because I'm an introvert and I'm not one of those social butterflies that go from table to table. That's not who I am. If it's my own event, I will do that because that's my role. But when I'm attending somebody else's event, I will sit at the table and then whomever lands at my table, those are the people that I will talk to and I will connect with and have conversations. So for me, it was always about going deeper rather than speaking to 100 people at an event. Not that there were that many. There were probably like 50 people at these dinners. But then I would see these other psychologists, particularly, that I remember. They would go from table to table, standing up. They won't sit down. And I remember this one guy, he would hand out his business cards to everybody at the table. And he wouldn't sit. He would do that in 1 minute. He would go, hey, this is who I am. He would hand his cards out because he did it to my table as well. And I would see him and my brain was going, oh, this is so cringe. I could never do that. And I don't know if it worked for him or not, but that's just not my way. That's not who I am. So for me, my approach was, I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to keep showing up. And I will never forget this one dinner where I sat next to this GP and I'm closing my eyes and I can see his face. He was a long-standing GP and we were talking and everything. And at the end of this one dinner, and I by then have had the opportunity to talk to him a number of times, and I never said, can you refer to me? I just talked about my practice and I answered the questions they would ask me about my practice. And I would always show interest more in what they were doing. And he just said at the end of that one night, he said, well, Gerda, I guess I'm going to have to start sending you some patients. And I went, I would be really happy about that, Dr. So-and-so. That would be a real privilege for me to work with you and your patients. And it's like, I was consistent. I went every month. I didn't take it for granted. It wasn't like on the internet, it's called a dump and run, where people just dump their business details in a Facebook group and off they go. No, that's not what we do. That is just going through the motions. That is just doing quantity over quality. That is being very self-centered. That's not how we build relationships. We build relationships by being consistent, by being interested in other people. And if you are in the business of building a long-term sustainable business, if you want to sell one day as a sellable asset, then that's what you need to do. And it's going to be fun. Might be uncomfortable, might be nerve-wracking at times. But with those dinners, I love eating. And there was always a 2-course dinner. It was the highlight of my freaking month. So I went and it paid off big time. They actually asked me to talk one here and I did a presentation at the dinner because they would always have a speaker. And I got the privilege of one here being asked to do the presentation. And that gave me even more exposure. And if I wasn't the one that was consistent, they would not have asked me to do that. Okay, so let's now look at some recommendations for best practice so that you can actually balance your inbound and outbound marketing. So here's my top recommendations for you. Step number 1, you need to conduct a marketing audit. So you want to take stock of all your current marketing efforts. Are you focusing too much on one type of marketing while neglecting the other? What is your current balance looking like? And then identify the gaps and create a plan to address it. 2, you want to set some clear goals. What do you want to achieve with your marketing? Is it to attract more referrals? Is it to fill a specific program? Is it to increase brand awareness? Because your goal will guide your chosen strategy. Step 3, you want to start small but be consistent. You do not need to do everything at once. I know I've given you quite a number of examples in here, and your mind and brain might be going, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. No, don't try and do it all. Look at what's your gaps, choose one thing and do it consistently. Step 4, leverage your team. If you have a team, you want to involve them in your marketing efforts. So ask yourself, could you assign someone to manage your social media, to help you write some blog posts, to organize a community outreach event? Make use of them. I find that a lot of team members love being involved in marketing type activities because it introduces diversity into their role. So unless you ask, you won't know. Step 5, track your results. So you want to pay attention to what's working and what's not. You want to ask new clients how they heard about your practice and use that information to refine your strategies. And step 6, remember to never stop marketing. Even if you're fully booked, your marketing efforts should continue. Yes, you might lift your foot off the pedal just a little bit, but you most certainly need a baseline level of marketing, both inbound and outbound, running at all times. It's really important because remember what I said, this is about you building your brand and staying top of mind, but it's also a really important risk management strategy, because if something happens that's beyond your control and all of a sudden your biggest referrer no longer refers, you will be stuffed. It's your job, your responsibility as the business owner to have contingencies in place for if and when that happens. So if you've been listening to it and you're thinking right now, okay, Gerda, you convinced me I need to do some more marketing. And that might be inbound marketing or outbound marketing, but you have no clue as to what strategies to use. Or maybe you are using strategies, but you're not sure of what other additional strategies could you be implementing. And I'm talking now really specific things to actually do. What I'm going to do for you is I am going to put down in the show notes a link for you to an in-depth training that I previously ran called the Fully Booked Practice Diary. And I'm going to make this available to you for free as a valued listener of this podcast. So all you need to do, go to the show notes, click on the link, and it will take you to the page. Pop in your details and it will send you the recorded training. That training takes you through the 3 biggest mistakes practice owners make when marketing their allied health practice. It looks at defining marketing within allied health. And then this is the part that's going to be of help to you. I talk to you about my top 10 client generating marketing strategies. Those 10 strategies include both inbound and outbound strategies. So go have a listen, select 1 or 2 that you want to implement over the next 3 to 6 months, and let me know how you go, because I know these strategies work. Okay, I feel like I actually covered a lot of ground in here. There was a lot of sections in this conversation, but my goal always with these conversations is to get you thinking, to get you reflecting. And I truly hope that this specific episode has given you some clarity as well as some actionable steps to take your marketing to the next level. The thing about marketing is that it's not a one-time task. It's an ongoing process. So I want to encourage you to fall in love with marketing, because marketing opens a lot of doors. And it allows us to help more people in better and more effective ways. Thank you so very much for tuning in. I truly hope this has been of help. And remember, as always, that I am here to help you build a practice you can't stop smiling about.